Welcome to Portals of Perception and to the Universalis project episode number 11. I'm here with Karen Heney and Kyriaki Nikandrou. Welcome.
Hello, Aviv. Hello, Karen. Good to be with you.
Hello, Aviv. Hello, Kyriaki. It's really good to be here today.
Well, thank you for turning up on a short notice. The storyline of today's exploration is that we are just coming out of a weekend journey with the Epoch Journey community and network. And after we landed last night, I emailed you and I asked, do you think there is something we could harvest from the journey, given that the Epoch Journey is often deep, reflective exploration about the nature of the evolutionary process, what it is that we are dialectically discovering inside our own process individually and collectively, and what is it that we are decoding and deciphering from the more than human realms, the blessing realms that are in assistance enveloping us through this time of change. And so I emailed you and said, what would you like to harvest? And you emailed some notes back, and here we are. And we're going live, so I'd invite Kyriaki that you perhaps begin and offer us a theme that you propose to harvest from the weekend journey and bring it to life right here, right now, as a relevant and pertinent dimension of the Universalis project. Please.
Yes, thank you, Aviv. Just also to say that it was a very, very rich experience, together with more than 100 people from all around the world, each one bringing amazing perceptions and art, poetry, music, dance, movement, and together with the threads and the insights that you introduced, it was a kind of a hologramic experience that evoked a special healing essence, I would say, at least to my life. So, although there were, I don't know, maybe more than 30 different subjects open up, one thing that stayed with me very strongly was the idea of the two struggles that you brought up within the context of many other things, but it stayed with me because the first struggle has to do with the muscles that we continue to train that have to do with the known, what is known to us. And the second struggle has to do with the muscles that we need to train or relax that have to do with the unknown, on how to cope with the unknown. And I found that fascinating, and it led me in a journey of thoughts, because I thought we come into this life blissfully unaware of what we are going to experience, and sooner or later we start to get various knocks and we fall down. We need to stand up, and we develop all kind of mechanism, defense mechanism, coping mechanism with the difficulties of life. For some, it might be the flight or fight syndrome. For others, it might be to shrink. For others, it's various fears or scars we collect on the way. And we cope with that. We cope. Also, we might develop various ghosts that we fall into repetitively. and we go by life. And also there are other muscles that we also have to do with the known that we might develop and find out that we are good at. So let's say we are good at maths. So we want to do more maths. Maybe we become an accountant or a mathematician or a scientist. Or maybe we are good in music. So we say, oh, I'm getting a lot of confirmation from others. I must be good. Let's train more. Let's sing more. And it might also be a good thing. It might be a medium to do your spiritual journey, not just your job or your hobby or something that gives you well-being. And this is all fine, but it has to do with the known, and we need to cope with life. So we need to keep on developing those muscles. We can say, oh no, I will not do that anymore. Because, life is life and you need to cope with various things. And then there are the muscles to do with the unknown. That is a completely different set of muscles, because I thought it's like you go to an unknown country that you've never been before. You cannot expect that you will speak the language, your native language, and people will understand you. You need to detect the language of that country. You need to you need to be open. You need to get the rhythm of it. You need to see what other things influence this rhythm. So, and then you need to put down maybe or transmogrify some of your scars and say, okay, gently, maybe the unknown, the new, doesn't need me to be so tense. Or imagine if the new is like a soft breeze, a gentle breeze that caresses you, and you go with it with your teeth, rubbing your teeth from tension or from the load of your past. Obviously, it won't work. So, yeah, and one of the things we opened up is how to be forensic, how to have maybe an epistemic humility and wonder. And I thought two ways to wonder. The one is to be forensic and wonder and inquire, what is this thing? When does it appear? What is its nature? What symptoms does it cause me? How does it require me to be? And that has to do definitely with the Homo Universalis research that we are in, because the future is unknown. So, and on the other side, it's something that you said, to abide with the inquiry. So, to flow with the inquiry, to do, so a kind of combination between being laser focused and epistemic and exact and objective, and on the other hand, allowing it to envelop you, to imbue, to form you. So, yeah. So the third struggle is how to combine both, which I said is a mission impossible. And then we worked a lot on how miracles happen. So, yeah, maybe the Homo Universalis is a miracle. I don't know. So that's some of the thoughts that were triggered.
Thank you, Kyriaki. So, yes, the two natures of struggle associating with the known and one associating with the unknown. And obviously, the way we used muscles here is more metaphoric. It's not purely just muscles, but the faculties, the capabilities, the capacities that each of those different natures bring to the surface. And because you wrote last night that you wanted to focus on this, I this morning pulled together quickly a slide to just bring to focus what we are talking about. Let me bring it on screen. Yeah. So indeed, the two struggles. And it's interesting, you said cope with the known, and I'm using here another C, both are valid. Confront the known, all that is known, is one nature of a struggle. And embrace, confront as well, and also embrace, and I deliberately chosen the word embrace as a way of indicating that there is a soft way to relax into the unknown rather than try to conquer the unknown. A bit more of a, I suppose you could say, feminine rather than a masculine attack on the unknown, which we increasingly are discovering is the way to approach it. And very much in the way you describe, the struggle with the known requires us to strengthen capacities that are needed to handle recognized challenges. These are challenging elements we faced before. Perhaps they are being ratcheted up, so we need to build more of those capacities and strengthen, as you said, these muscles. Whether physical muscle, whether emotional muscle, whether mental muscle, whether it's the muscle of patience, whether it's the muscle of endurance, whether it's the muscle of encouragement, whatever the muscle that's required, do more of what you already know to do. And that as you do so, you are applying recognized energy, available resources, available patterns. And that on the other side of the equation, we are invited to unlock new capacities, discover capacities that often we did not even know were latent in us, and that would more likely show up when we meet new and novel opportunities and challenges. And that the invitation in that is to actually relax some of the muscles we use on the left side of the slide. Because if we want to be available in new patterns, in new ways, we need to relax the groove, the patterns that are held at tension habitually, and become available for new processes, new ways, new energy sources, new patterns, new configurations. And so, because you said you wanted to reflect about this, I thought this morning, well, what would be an example, practical example, of how those two natures got expressed and are exhibiting themselves in my experience. So, one example from my professional work life on the left is a few years ago, I wanted to test the range of my capacity. And I wanted to see whether I could, how many complex, large-scale corporate projects I could run in a consulting capacity. And I found that what just 7 or 8 years ago, because 7 or 8 years ago, I would run 1 or 2 large projects. And then I had this intuition that if I would challenge myself with several, first of all, I will accelerate my objectives, but I was actually more interested to discover what development it will unlock in me. So there was a time where I ran concurrently 7 projects one man show in terms of consulting with 7 Fortune 100 companies, each senior executive and their team imagining that they are the only client I'm supporting in the world. It was really operating at the edge of my capacity. But one of the things it catalyzed in me was the discovery of how can I be much more precise and ordered and organized. And also it catalyzed in me the development that is framed in the idea of do the minimal work you must do and delegate a lot more of the work to the team and the organization so they do, because I'm ultimately about unlocking their capacities. So that's one way I confronted a known struggle to catalyze in me new development by using muscles I've already developed and using those muscles in a slightly new and different way. One of the teams, now moving to the right side, one of the teams I've been working with for several years, I met with them this summer and I said to the general manager of that organization, I said to him, based on my conversations with you and people on your team, we should come to the 3-day event with almost no agenda, just truly flowing live within the bigger frame that we are in a strategic inquiry about the next 3 years of your business. And we do not actually want people to prepare slides in advance. Because when people prepare slides in advance, they go through the motions of presenting their slides. And what happened was that the conversation led them, with my help, because I only superficially understand the advanced technology that they are building, but I have the way of listening to their conversation and the energy that's being unlocked in the room, and I know when to pause and redirect the conversation. So we were literally, for 3 days, playing jazz and going completely off, quote unquote, the script of any structured meeting, which is very much unlike the way you run corporate events. Most of the corporate events, strategy events I run, they have an elements of this, but they will be 60, 70, sometimes 80 or 85% structured. This was a situation where we were 80% unstructured. And it unlocked extraordinary breakthroughs for the team. So in this case, I was embodying on their behalf, embracing the unknown. So that's two examples. Now, in a journey like we've been in over the last couple of days of the weekend, so there was a known infrastructure to the meeting, because partly we were going through a letter that I've written in response to a conjectural reading that came my way, and it unlocked all sorts of ideas and contemplative inquiries and opened different spaces. So we knew we wanted to go through it, but what was unknown was the way it was going to come together. So one day appeared in one way, and because of the way I've experienced that day, there was a realization that the following day was going to be approached completely different. So in a journey like this, for me, it's very much embracing the unknown, of the greater potential of the conference that we are together creating, the weave that we are together creating, and letting the emergent intelligence of the process itself, the current of the process, guide us and guide me in sherpaing our journey. And the final build I will offer on this is that we mused on this idea that the modern physics reveals to us that we actually only know 5% of the universe. 95% of the universe we don't know. And then science is absolutely determined that we can only admit as known fact whatever shows up within the methodology with which we're able to define the 5% that we know. What we mused on and contemplated is that if you are prepared to actually more holistically embrace the proposal that we only know 5% of the universe, because 70% we call dark energy, we don't really know what that means. A bunch of theories about what that is and mathematical formulas that define what that is. And another 25% is dark matter. And again, we don't exactly know what dark matter is, but we have a bunch of theories about how all that emerged as a result of a hocus pocus, miraculous hocus pocus that we call the Big Bang. What I suggest is that if we embrace that, even take that at face value and embrace that in a more holistic way, what it means is that we only know ourselves by 5% because we are part of the universe, right? Which corresponds with the fact that we know that we are only using a very small portion of our DNA potential. I don't know whether it's 5 or 7 or 10%, but a very small portion. And also is a recognition that we only know a very small part of our creative potential and all that's latent, creatively latent in the various unconscious dimensions, invisible, unseen, unconscious dimensions of our lives. So here is the curious thing when we look at this slide. You could make the case that 95% of people invest 95% of their time in the 5% that we know. And partly what we are suggesting with the Universalis project, which is why I thought and got inspired last night when you wrote, yeah, let's focus on this. What we are suggesting is that one way to relax into the idea of the Universalis project is to say, well, are we prepared to shift the percentage a little bit to get more interested in the unknown and truly shift the focus, the energy, the attentional process maybe by 51% into embracing the unknown? Because one of those dimensions of the terms of the theories of how the universe operates, and when it was discovered that the universe was not only expanding but was actually accelerating its expansion, one of the ways they articulate that accelerated expansion is indeed what is being released through dark energy and dark matter, that the manifestation, the expression of that potential is what is accelerating the expansion of the universe. So if you say, well, I am part of the universe, so can I be universal in my nature, which we call in the idea of a universalis human? Well, one way to contemplate it is to imagine that we too can accelerate in who we are becoming. So what does that mean if we say accelerate the expansion of the universe? Well, one way to contemplate it is that I wake up in the morning and I'm even more attentionally, energetically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, in all aspects, I'm more in the readiness to embrace the unknown by at least 51%. Because if I'm more in that unknown, if I'm more breathing into that potential, I'm not defined by the gravitational hold of the 5% that I know, my identity, the various roles, the different things I have done in the past. I'm more in the discovery of who I am becoming today. Now, I recognize it's easier said than done if a person spends their entire life on the left side, because what it really means is you'll wake up in the morning and you'll be semi-confused. Who are you? Well, are you the person you were yesterday? Are you, and all the identity definitions and roles of how other people know you, of how you know yourself, or whether you are prepared to be born into today, be birthed into today, into the discovery process. So that is how I journeyed in my mind this morning, as I thought, yeah, Kyriaki is going to, I mean, this was literally 5 minutes or 10 minutes over the weekend, and you said, let's bring this to life. So it catalyzed in me a little more about the significance of embracing the unknown as a way of integrating it to the realization of what it is we are seeking to explore here in the Universalis project. I would be guessing that Karen will want to speak to that for a moment and build on it. If you do, then please, by all means.
Yeah, this is really unknown. I think I'm falling somewhere between the two. And what I was thinking about, in a way, went arced back to the previous recording when we were talking about the operating systems of the external world, as it were, the justice systems, the government systems, the everything in terms of the infrastructures that we're used to, the known, as it were, that particularly our generation were brought up into believing we're almost going to save the world. You know, these were the institutions that were the bedrock, really. And as we gradually see the corruption and the weakening and the overtaking with extreme bureaucracy and the dysfunctionality of various systems, not all of them have collapsed. I'm not sort of implying that we're living in a complete collapsed world, but the validation that these will be strong and supporting human life into the future is highly questionable. And alongside that reality is the internal infrastructures. And it's as if the enclosures that are in the world that are maybe built upon biases and warps that have been well established throughout time are gradually weakening, and those powers are dispersing. The parallel is within our inner lives. Any psychologies and patternings that don't have the sustaining energies of the now and the currencies that are ongoing into the future equally are being weakened, and sometimes they will melt, sometimes they will fight and be challenging and facing, but there is this inner knowing that what may have worked before, well, maybe it's not going to quite be the enabling system for tomorrow, for society, for my life, for humanity, and especially if one is interested in a evolutionary projection or trajectory for humanity. So this area in the middle is to do with a weakening of the power structures. And if they're the power structures that are external and the power structures that are internal, then what are they replaced with? And how does one navigate this place in between? And one analogy, it's interesting, Kyriaki talked about the new muscles you need when you go to a new country. And I was thinking, yes, you do, but it's the same muscles in the same way, because we're used to talking, we have a language, so it's another language. We have transport, it might be different transport. And I thought of the analogy of puberty, because I can actually clearly remember how I was really happy with the things I was doing. Those little clubs and, a child of the, 60s, I suppose it was then. And I can link into that psychology framework of, life was great. And then suddenly the vista became vast. And I could recognize the possibility of that, that was great. But there was this kind of sadness that I wasn't happy with the things I was happy with last week. I could actually feel that shift. And I think that's a little bit of an analogy or a metaphor for this type of change. It's a new power energy. It's a new infrastructure that is enabling a whole different range of capacities to be activated. And these are automatic. This happens to everybody, and we'll all have our own experiences. So I think that's what I'll say for now in terms of that bit in the middle.
Yes, so you first made reference to our last episode 10, where we endeavored to track and trace the modernity, what we call blue operating system, and how it has been captured and why it is imploding and reaching obsolescence. And it's curious, you mentioned in it one of the important, indeed, infrastructures, elements of that system is the system of the law. And indeed, the system of what we know as the justice system and the system of the law is precedent-based, which means by definition it is based on what happened before. And there are very good reasons for it. We're not judging or criticizing it, because a lot of what has been seen throughout the ages as progress, something was won, say new rights for workers, new rights for women, for sure, and so on. So then it's being established as a new law of the land, so to speak. But when you step back and you think about it through the lens that we are looking and using right here, right now, what it means is that the human story is at a point where we're not trusting our capacity to reason in the moment, and we are not trusting our capacity to identify and appreciate first principles, and we're not trusting our capacity to find agreement that would emerge out of shared purpose. So therefore we need to establish the laws of the land based on precedents. Now, many will see what I'm describing now as completely naive or idealistic. What we are describing is a way of being and a way of living that is much more intuitively connected and tethered to first principle, where there is a capacity to, in the moment, see and appreciate first principles and develop agreements. So, yeah, some would call it utopian or e-utopian, and that's all right. We simply, I believe, see that it is possible for human beings to evolve to these capacities. So I'd start there in reflecting on the first thing you said. The last thing where you landed is a very potent frame of mind, where you describe the experience of puberty, which is an automatic hormonal, biological, physiological change. And you said, could that experience, and the beauty and the nuance you offered was the vivid sense of you were awakened into an experience where you had that dual awareness. You were inside a new space, and you looked back and you said, well, just a few weeks ago, I used to enjoy doing this or playing with that, and it doesn't bring anymore exactly the same fulfillment and joy. What is powerful about the account of this experience is that there is an invitation that this kind of similar experience may happen time and again later, not necessarily as a result of an automatic biological hormonal change, but that when we enter new domains of possibility, there is a point whereby we look back and we say, I realized that what used to activate me very much and energize me, but no longer carries the same impact. I am now energized by different sources of energy, and I am activated in whole new different parts of myself. Sometime you'll even describe new sensitivity, new capacity, new expression, new art. So I'm ready to take this reflection and take us on a journey that was catalyzed as a result of what you both offered, but I want to give Kyriaki a chance to come in again on whatever we developed as a result of your starter, and then I will I will first ground us in our initial brief, 1,000 Faces, and then I will look to thread from there to the inquiry you offered, Karen, in terms of how to think about this changing operating system. And maybe we need to change the language. Is it operating system? Is it enabling system? Is it causing system? We're searching for the language as well. But let me pause here and give Kyriaki a chance to play jazz with what has emerged as a result of your starter.
Yes. First, to comment a little bit about what you said on running 7 projects concurrently. That is burning the muscles. It's not developing the muscles, it's burning the muscles. Anyway, I wanted to say also in relation to the fantastic example with puberty that Karen said, that I see that the 2 struggles also it fits a bit with the 2 struggles, because let's say in childhood you are a girl, you play with dolls, you only want to play with girls, and then suddenly you discover boys, or you discover you don't want to play with dolls anymore, or you want to dance or to sing in a rock band or whatever. So, but the wish to play with dolls continues. It doesn't go completely. So I'm thinking, for instance, it's not so simple. That's what I want to say. It's not so simple. For instance, if someone has been a builder in all his life, he has developed a set of muscles. Now, when he needs, let's say, to dance ballet, it's a completely different set of muscles. It's very difficult. He needs to relax all those really tense muscles for building and develop a completely different set of muscles and plasticity. So just to say that it's not so simple. And and that the old muscles will fight back. And this is just physical muscles. Imagine about the psychological muscles, especially if we have been trained for, the last 3,000 years, the muscles of humanity, the collective muscles. So, yeah, the old systems will fight back. And that's also something we said in the weekend. And not to assume that just because we wish it will happen. It might take another 3,000 years. so just to bring this. And also about the operating systems that we opened the last and we didn't know what was going to happen afterwards. And we had the dramatic events in the world scene, which in a way show once again how the blue operating system in all its different facets has been captured. And there needs to be a renewal. And I think part of our exploration here with the Homo Universalis is really how to access that renewal, how to make it possible, at least within us, as a first step.
Indeed. And as you said, we actually turned live the Portal's recording about this inquiry of what would enable and what will facilitate for human beings, for humanity at large, to pivot from a murderous, barbarous operating system of kill before you get killed as a primary imperative to a way of being and collaborating that is based in valiance and chivalry and the kind of virtues that are central to a way of being that is based in trust, in collaboration, in value. And again, many will see this to be naive, and what that is largely an extrapolation of human life as an extension of the jungle rule of animalistic charge. And what we are proposing is that the Universalis inquiry is by itself an inquiry into that potential of human life to transcend planetary limitation and become universal. So my intuition is actually to conclude the 11th episode here, turn off the recording, turn the recording on again for what will become Universalis episode 12, and take that next ride into the discovery of how to think about an operating system through these shifting times from one epoch to the next. How about that as a in the moment decision?
Yes, it sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Okay, so I'll see you quickly on the other side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aviv. Thank you, Karen.
Along with our website at portalsofperception.org, Portals is also available on YouTube and on all podcast platforms, as well as social media. You can become an active member and join the conversation in community events. And you can help us get the word out by liking this content and by sharing it with your friends.